Alright guys, welcome back, and we're going to be starting somewhat on a new lesson today. This lesson is going to be, we're still solving equations with variables on both sides, but in this lesson we're going to be talking specifically about word problems, because when we see this on STAR exams and what have you, it won't be the naked equations, it's going to be in the word problem format, so we want to look at this in real world mathematical problems. Alright, so here's our problem, and it says that Eastland has 30,000 people and Lakeside has 45,000 people. Eastland is gaining 500 people per year, while Lakeside is losing 1,000 people per year. What year will the two towns have the same number of people? Now, when you guys come across these problems, this is what I tell my students. You're going to have these, they're going to be there. When you have these problems, there are a lot of words. Don't panic, don't freak out. Just read it and reread it. The key that you're going to be looking for on these problems, ladies and gentlemen, is the word same. Okay? Most of the time, this word same is going to be available in the problem. It's going to say same. Okay? Most of the time, you're going to see the word same. So when you see the word same, you need to be thinking equations with variables on both sides. When you see the word same, be thinking about equations with variables on both sides, okay? So this lesson is about picking this information out, and I will solve it, but we're going to pick this information out, and we're going to set up our equation, all right? So we know that we're looking and thinking about equations on variables with on both sides of the equal sign, all right? So now I need to go back and I need to figure out what am I talking about. So if you look at this particular problem, the comparison in this problem is two different towns, okay? There will always be some type of comparison. We're talking about Eastland, and then we have Lakeside, all right? So, I'm going to have Eastland. And what do I know about Eastland? Eastland has 30,000 people, right? And then it tells me that it is gaining. Gaining is going to be a plus. It's gaining what? What does it say? 500 people. And it says, I'm going to put PY for per year. All right? Now, the second comparison that we have is we have Lakeside. And Lakeside, what do we know about Lakeside? Well, Lakeside, they have 45,000 people. And it says they're losing, right? Which is going to be minus 1,000 people per year. Okay? All right? So there I have these two scenarios broken up. So the first thing I'm doing is after I've identified that it's equations with variables on both sides, I'm looking at the two things that's going to be compared. In this problem, it's two different towns. Eastland and then Lakeside, okay? Now I'm just jotting down what do I know about the two. All right, so please pay attention to keywords such as gaining and losing, because that's going to tell me if I'm going to be adding or subtracting here. All right, so I know that they're gaining. Here's the other thing that I need you to look at. After you've identified that it is equations with variables on both sides, I want you to go to the question part. Now, what do I mean by the question part? This entire part down here, and I'm going to use let's use a red highlighter. This is my question part, and I'm going to leave that same in blue. But that's my question part, because that's the part of the problem where they're going to ask me for the information. What am I, like, this is what, like, the first part is giving you all of the information that you need. The question part I'm referring to is the part where they're asking you what they need. And what are they asking me? They're saying, what does it say? What does that say? What is the what? This is what I tell my students. You have to identify the what. What do you mean by identify the what, Mr. George? What is the what? I'm saying, what are they looking for? And if you look at it, here in the problem, it says, what year? I want to know years. How do I know I want a year? Because the question says what year. If it says what year, then that lets me know I don't know the year. What year? So once you identify what the year is, this is telling you where the variable belongs. Wherever you see years, that's going to be a variable. So if I go back, it says Eastland is gaining 30,000 people. It don't say nothing about years. Lakeside is losing 45,000 people. It don't say nothing about years. But if you continue, it says Eastland is gaining 500 people per year. That lets me know this is where my variable is going to be. Whether I want to do an X for it or I want to use a Y. Continue while Lakeside is losing 1,000 people per year. Ladies and gentlemen, I have told you exactly how to set this equation up. Go back and find what is it looking for in what year. And that's always going to be in the question part of the problem. Very short, very sweet, very simple directives, ladies and gentlemen. First, I go through and I identify the word same as I'm reading the problem, because you're going to have a lot of problems on STAR tests. I'm going through the problem, I identify the word same. So when I see same, I need to be thinking equations with variables on both sides. After I identify that it is equations with variables on both sides, the next step is to set up my comparison. Okay? The third step is to identify where the variable belongs. Right? So I've gone down and I've kind of jotted these steps down, ladies and gentlemen. Identify what type of problem it is step number one. And we do that, first of all, when you recognize all of those words, because there's going to be a lot of words in the problem. Identify that word same or some type of comparison to let us know that we're dealing with equations with variables on both sides. Set up your two expressions, and here are my two expressions. My two expressions is the Eastland right here and the Lakeside. Those are two different expressions. 3, I look at the question to identify where the variable belongs, and that's the question part that I talked about at the end. And we said per year. So I'm going to actually come back now and replace this PY with the X. You can use an X or you can use a Y for years. It doesn't matter, but since years make sense, we're going to go ahead and do that. Y for years. And then step 4 is to actually set up and solve your equation. And I'm going to solve this equation for you, even though we should be good and experienced in solving equations, because that was the focal point of last week's lesson. So we're looking at 30,000 plus 500y. That's equal to 45,000 minus 1,000 y. And anytime it goes to that second line, just take your arrow. Take the arrow. You can take your arrow and you can either shorten or lengthen that line. Okay. So now, the first step is always to move the smallest variable. The smallest variable in this problem is going to be the 1,000. So that's going to be plus, because I have a minus 1,000, that's going to be plus 1,000 y. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And I'm going to fix that so that it fits nice, neat, and pretty. There we go. Because I want to make sure that it lines up. And if you all will do this for me when you all are working as well, it'll help me see your problem better. Therefore, if there's a mistake or error, I can see that. So, 30,000 is going to come down because nothing's happening with this 30,000. So the 30,000 is just going to drop down. Okay. So we'll have 30,000. Uh-oh. Went too far. 30,000 plus, and that's going to be 1,500 y, and that equals 45,000. And let's not forget that this is a zero pair. All right, so the next step is, okay, now remember, this is the next step. Now, I can't state enough that a lot of times I'll see students try to subtract the 45,000. Do not do that. That is a misconception that is going to mess you up. The object is to get the variable completely by itself, isolated by itself. And if I move the 45,000 over, then there will be nothing on this side, but I'll have two things over here. That's not what you want to do in this part of the problem. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract the 30,000 from both sides. Okay, and because I'm borderline OCD, I'm gonna move this over so that it is linear, and I'm gonna do minus 30,000. Okay. All right. That gives me another zero pair, and I'll cross that out in a second. That's going to be 15,000 y is equal to 15,000? 15,000. 1,500 y. And I'm just going to cross this out to show you that that's a zero pair. And that's sliding down. That's an ugly arrow, but don't judge me, all right? I just came off of the real life version of Ice Age, all right? Don't judge me because my arrow is messed up, all right? All right, so now we're on the third step where we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of the variable. If you need these steps again, you can go back and check out a previous video or check out the notes that have been provided for you. We're going to divide both sides by the coefficient of the variable. Dividing both sides by 15,000, and let me go down some so that you guys can see that. And when in doubt, you can use your decimals. We got 15,000. This should be easy math. Divided by 1,500. And it tells us that the answer is 10. Okay? So, that lets me know that in 10 years, the two towns are going to have the same number of people. All right? And that can be shown. By taking 10 and plugging it into the expression 30,000 plus 500 parentheses 10. Okay? So you have 500 times 10. That is 500 times 10. That's 5,000. That's 5,000. So that'll be 35,000. I'm doing this math really quick. It's too many zeros. And then doing the same with the 45 here. And I'm going to plug 10 in. I'm going to plug 10 in parentheses right here. Okay. Okay, 1,000 times 10 gives you 10,000. And 45,000 minus 10,000 is indeed 35,000. So if you follow that out and you check, the math checks out showing you that those two are the same once you plug 10 back into that into those two expressions. Again, you don't have to do that extra step, but that's literally what you're doing. All right, so that's it for this video. I pray to God that this video takes, because I've been having issues with this, and so if it does, good. If not, I will be so upset. But listen, go over that and let's practice that, and I'll see you guys in the kick. Peace.